My name is Harish Kumar, Gopalakrishnan, and I'm here to talk about the Security Operations Center, the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of it especially. So I started my career in IT help desk, the real plumbing of it, and found my passion in cybersecurity. Not through the show Mr. Robot, but it did have a pretty good influence on it. So, and then and then I got myself self-studied my way into the field once I found my passion, and I got a promotion over there. And the thing is that I learned a lot about the so there were a lot of things that went bad in my career, and not like especially to me, but the company itself. So I kind of learned a lot from that experience. I have seen SOC team being handled poorly by the management. I've felt the sting of losing clients because our performance were not that good. I have been part of active cyber incidents, and also help new clients integrate their way towards my company, from ground up. So I've been through the worst, and all of this kind of put into slides. So these are not just slides; these are just experiences that I've gone through, and thought I could share it with y'all. So I'm currently studying masters. I took a break from my work and doing my masters in cybersecurity at the University of Warwick. That's why the X, not because I quit. So how this the talk goes is I'm gonna just talk about the good part of it, which you probably would have heard outside, the bad ones, again, all surface level stuff. But then I talk about the ugly ones. These are the actual stories that I have been part of. I've heard from other analysts and other professionals, and the takeaway from all of the stories that I'm going to be telling. And being in a SOC team is a very boring and a very bland life, also demanding. So how do you level up there? And finally, I'm going to introduce AI into it. Because why not? Because will that make any better for security analysts? First, the good. I'm just going to be posting some of the comments. These are actual comments from Reddit, others and stuff. So again, first step. So this is an L test of the cybersecurity, is what they say, and most of the cybersecurity professionals that I've met have started their career as a SOC analyst. So most of the entry level roles are here. So if anyone's transitioning into cybersecurity or starting out their career, pretty good place to start. And the adrenaline. As I said, I've been part of active cyber incidents, right? So when you find that rogue PC or the evil user that's been spamming the whole network, that will give you a pretty good rush, and not many jobs do that. So that's something to look out for. Blue team. Here you learn the skill of teamwork, and you feel the power of brotherhood. You'll soon be clicking deals with people. It's a pretty good place. And impact. Well, this is not a job anymore. You'll actually feel like you're part of a mission, as you'll actually be saving companies thousands of pounds, in some cases millions. And the bad. You probably must have heard a lot of not so good things about SOC analysts because on the internet and stuff, which I wish I could say just don't listen to that, but unfortunately it's all true, by the way. SOC is not a good place, and like people get burned out, people quit, a lot of stuff happens. Some of these are human filters. Most of the alerts most of the time spent in the SOC will be just filtering noise. We'll be dealing with all sorts of alerts from all different places, and especially false positives. I have an interesting take on these false positives, which I'll come back to later. But the solution to this is automated enrichment. You as a SOC analyst cannot be responsible for this. You'll be working with the engineers, the SOC manager to enrich. So the alerts which you have on your dashboard is only real alerts, not the ghosts. Shift handoff, again, this is something someone for who's like coming into the field, just like, this is something that every shift does. At the end of their shift, to do like a kind of a brief meeting of what happened in their shift. This always goes bad. I've seen this always going bad, especially during night shift people. They kind of, after all working all of this stuff, they just want to close their laptop, throw it off the window, and they just want to sleep. But they kind of dump this whole information of what happened in the shift into the next shift people in a drowsy, slurry voice. Doesn't always go good. So the solution is they always do this report at the end of the.
Sorry, I was wondering, like, do attackers like sometimes launch attacks at 6:59 a.m. to like?
Oh yeah, that's
like a strategy thing and stuff.
Yes, it is in some yeah, especially. I mean, we get attacked, especially during holidays. By the way, we're kind of pretty chill with the holiday vibes and stuff, but that's when that shit happens. Oh, I've got a story too in the slide that could be interested. But yeah, so my point is that during a handoff, so the shift, the whole shift doesn't do like a report. They do this at the end of the time. They kind of this team lead kind of gets the report from all the other analysts all in one time, one place, and they dump it onto the next shift. That's not how it's supposed to do. Everyone should have their own personal report. Like when you have to create a case, when you solve a case or like escalate a case or something, you have to create like a one-line report of you did this with this and you kind of closed it this time. Something like that. This something people still don't do with SOC analysts, SOC teams, by the way. And then false positives. So false positives are not a thing. Again, before people just get their hands on eggs and tomatoes and throw at me. This is something that cyber professionals, I've spoken to cyber professionals and people say these to, managers and everyone. False positives, if you think about it, every system account, if it triggers an alarm for something that is designed to do, that is not a false positive, that is a tuning problem. Again, first, I think John Strand, famous influencer, cybersecurity influencer, said this first, and then people have started to realize this is a thing. So your tools are doing what it's supposed to do. It's just letting noise in. The point is the work you need to do is to tune your tool as much as possible. The more alerts it allows you in, the more false positives you have, and the more time your analyst is going to waste. So there's a research that so there's 15 minutes that's being wasted for every analyst for every hour because they're going to deal with these false positives. So probably the only solution is to tune your tool as much as possible. Me I have worked with my manager. Every time I get a false positive, I go and talk to my manager saying like, why is this a false positive? What do we do with it? Just have this meeting. I know everyone wants to like do their job, just shut down the laptop and go here, right? But this is something you need to step out of your field and just talk about it. Also, false positives, I think you shouldn't be worried by this. You should be terrified of false positives is what the takeaway is here. NPC problems, something we deal with this too a lot. So sometimes when we do this phishing simulation exercises, and the users, they kind of create a P1 ticket because they received the email or they clicked on it, and they just want to. This kind of drives us crazy, by the way, because we deal with lots of actual alert, like threats and stuff, right? And then these users, they just create tickets, and we need to the whole process goes through like to close that ticket. So this is again something is very annoying. So again, this is something we have to work with the engineers to make sure that these get auto closed, by the way, because this is no value for us. I mean, we can't tell them to stop creating tickets. I mean, it's better than not creating a ticket, right? So again, just auto closes as much as possible and send a report. Send a response or something, just saying like, dude, this was just a test, fine. And anonymous cog. Sometimes you put all of these efforts into closing these tickets and solving problems, and you don't get noticed much. This is something many of the analysts go through, and pretty big reason for them to like quit. What you do here is the only reason the solution is you kind of list your name in as many places as possible. If you're solving an incident, which doesn't happen much, but again, whenever you do, try to add your name in like specific actions you did, right? In the notes. Also another, create runbooks. I am sure even till date, I'm sure not all of the organizations will have a runbook for every alert use cases. So take off your SOC hat and just like try to create like a methodology of how would you kind of solve this problem, this alert. And this is something I have personally done a lot of times with the managers. And then you kind of get to slap your name across that document, and that document stays for a while. And this is something you can get your management to notice. Get your brownie points. And death by ticketing. Sometimes you see a ticket and that's misclassified or miscategorized, right? And you understand that it's not a password reset but an account takeover. At times like this, even especially during night shifts, it's not easy to categorize this. Reroute that ticket. You kind of have this battle with your ticketing system. I think this you can relate. Any help desk or SOC can relate to this, but you gotta, when you see those kind of tickets, you need to change 12 mandatory fields, and you kind of do all these categories, subcategories, drop down menu options. While you're fighting the UI, your attacker is just gonna breeze you, like just all your corporate network. Its data just goes away. So again, this is something that I still see an issue with. I don't see anyone's implementing here. So at times like this, you need to have an emergency route where they don't need to fill out these mandatory fields. Fast routing is what the solution to this is. So at times like this, it's okay to not be the perfect and just close the ticket as much as possible. And then burnout by design. All this dealing with noise and the stuff and their stress is gonna just lead to burnout and quit. So the solution to this is they need to work with your team to reduce as much as low noise alert as much as possible. So at least the ones you work with are like high value ones. And then why stay or why leave? 67% of the SOC analysts, they consider due to this stress. The time that I worked, or about 2 years, I've seen 10 analysts quit because they have this dream of becoming a cyber warrior, and then the reality turns into this Control-C, Control-V kind of machine, because all you do is just copy each other investigated nodes and then just slap on it and you start to close it. Just change the IP address and stuff. That's basically what SOC analyst is, but again, you shouldn't leave, that's the point. So analysts stay to evolve. You will soon see automation come into the picture. If you're working in a small to medium-sized business, it will take a while because they don't bring in automation that fast. But when it comes, you will have the luxury of time, and when you start to work on more niche alerts, you'll have time to study, upskill yourself, and you will finally you see being yourself consulted by other teammates for some alerts, and you see yourself evolving, and this game finally starts to get fun. And I'll move into the ugly parts of it. So these are stories that I've personally gone through. Like I said, it will be it's something to look at. So plan versus panic. So I had this client who had this beautiful incident response playbook, right? 50 pages, spiral bound, beautiful. But then 3 a.m. There was one day it was 3 a.m. and we had a high critical alert, and then do you want to know how many people opened this 50-page masterpiece? 0, right? None. So what happens is everybody has their own runbook. That's what I see with so many companies, and even people tell me this. So I have, on that particular use case, on that particular incident, I saw 3 analysts in a Teams meeting. It was a microwave movie down there. It was just loud noises and stuff, right? And one analyst was immersed in logs. I don't know. It was just trying to find evidence as much as possible. It was like that Titanic movie, just finding the gem. The other analyst was just blocking IPs left and right. I don't know where he got the information from, but then there was one analyst. He was still a dear friend of mine. We all have this pro AI person, everyone, and he does AI in everything. So this guy, he just uploaded the whole scenario and in the chat GPT, and he was like, what would Mr. Robot do in this situation? When I heard about this, I was like, wow, this guy's so cool. And I'm like, but then and the manager on the other hand, he was just calling people from the previous shift. He was like, did you see anything weird on your shift? Did you see anything before you log out? So this is what happens when panic takes place, right? And the only, I'll give you the takeaways at the end of it, but this is why tabletop exercises exist. Then failure to lead. So there was this junior analyst in my team who spotted a data exfiltration case. It was going on. He knew what to do from top to end. But he did not do any of those. He theoretically knew all the steps what to do. But what he did was he just put on his investigator hat, and he was just going through logs as much as possible, taking screenshots, and he was collecting evidence. And he just pasted in his email, sent it to a manager, and waiting for his reply to be the leader to do something, right? While all of this is going on, the data was just flying out the door. So at the end of the day, when the manager reached out for the email, responded, it turned out pretty bad. Actually, the client had to get involved. It was pretty messy. The point is that sometimes you need to make a decision to call people. Not many analysts do this actually. They kind of go into this silent mode, and they let it's okay if other person can talk. So, no one wants to be awoken at night from deep sleep and to listen to someone say, I think something might be wrong here, But have these questions ready. Just what is actually going on? What steps did you take? And why are you calling them? So that's the difference between an analyst who's trying to get it right and a professional who owns the incident, right? Tunnel vision. So this has happened in one of my friends' companies. So over a weekend, a few of the analysts were working on these 50 lobby kiosks, and so because they were generating 5,000 alerts. So meanwhile, there was this alert that just slipped in. This was from the patient's record database. This is important though. Healthcare and manufacturing are 2 of the 16 most critical infrastructure, and the top 2 that's targeted by ransomware threat actors till date. You can literally just open up any week news segment and you'll find 2 of these sectors pop up. So if you're clearing pop-ups from lobby kiosks and your patient record database or your robotic manufacturing controller database gets hijacked, you lost the game. So the point is, know your crown jewels. Legal blind spot. So I was in a meeting with the C-suite executives. We have this casual kind of meetings to see what's up with everyone kind of thing. And there was this question that popped out: Does anyone know the difference? I mean, the connection between our cybersecurity team and legal? And nobody knew the answer. Everyone was exchanging glances, and the manager next to me was like, "Just dude, say something. I mean, don't be silent. That could be the worst. Just anything is fine." And since he said anything, I was like, "This is a trick question, isn't it? We don't have anything to do with legal," is what I said. And the manager was like, "Dude, you could have said anything. You literally just don't talk to me." So that's the point. We didn't have exposure to legal. I mean, we had documents that mentions legal protocol, but we didn't get any exposure. So my point is, connect with your legal team before fire happens. Right? Finally, zombie reports. Okay. So one time we found this critical unpatched vulnerability in our firewalls, and we put that in email summary, send it to the client. So we put that in a PDF, send it to the client put that in a folder. 6 months passed by, no actions were taken. We didn't follow up too. I mean, we didn't care. Our job was done. But then their pen testing team found this vulnerability, and then the client afterwards, they came to know that we found this way before. They were furious. Did they blame themselves? No, they blamed us because we didn't shout enough. So the point here is that don't just put any of these important information and just document and forget about it. Create a ticket, operationalize these things. So my golden rule here is that if it ain't a ticket in Jira, it does not exist. Takeaways here. So what did we learn from all of these stories? Tabletops. This is a pretty basic thing for like a SOC team, but I still hear from many of the SOC analysts today that they do not practice this at all. You gotta do this with your runbooks open, not from your mind. And if your team successfully contains a simulated breach, but then they don't follow the playbook, your team lost. Right? So if your plan diverges from reality, you update the process. You need to do this at least quarterly. You can even have fun with tabletops. My team found it was quite fun to do this. We kind of do this every month, but do it at least quarterly. Then establish incident command. Again, this is basically like you need to know who's dealing with what, and you don't want to find out very late that you need to like contact this person to taking care of this, right? And notification checklist. You don't want to be scrolling through a corporate directory at 3 a.m. figuring out again who takes care of what. So have like a small sheet of just like one page. Say if it's a P1, if it's a category 1, you notify these people. If it's category 2, you notify these people. Just have like a sticky note or whatever. Just have it be ready with that. Identify ground rules. We saw that lobby kiosk versus with the patient record database scenario, right? So this is something you need to work with your business stakeholders. I know we the SOCs do not have an exposure to all of these like business stakeholders. Managers don't do that extra work, kind of want to do that. But I actually took a step in my team to speak with these business stakeholders to see if this set of systems goes down, will that bring the whole company down? Know those first, so that we know what we can defend. And the best person is actually the CFO. You have a meeting with him, you're good. It doesn't, from their perspective, it doesn't really make much sense for us to be in a meeting with them, but it can really enrich your experience of being a SOC analyst. Ticket everything. So like the zombie reports that I told you about before. Every lessons shouldn't be and it shouldn't just end up in email or a document always turn into tickets, because those zombie reports are going to come back for your contracts, because an analyst actually got fired at the time. It was pretty bad. So then invite legal. I know legal team don't want to hang out with us nerds. They're so cool though, but you gotta invite them. I mean, it's no benefit for them, but it can really enrich your experience. Even as simple as a tabletop exercise. If you can bring a legal team to your tabletop, it will really valuable. I mean, so what we did is, so there's different ways to like invite them. Just drop them like a GDPR 72-hour notification list document to them, and say it's an audit requirement. I seen pizza works just as fine. Just say that you're buying lunch, and you see that they're gonna just send out some legal person into our team. That and re-educate the team. When you survive an incident, again, don't just put it in an email summary. Do like a little video thing or a brief. Bring the whole team in. Talk about how the threat actor got in, like what happened, what did you lose, what's the lessons learned, and do like a course presentation, whatever. But yeah, it'll re-educate the team. And simple. Again, SOC team is going to be very hard, very demanding. It's not easy, but you can make your job interesting. So something that I did to like pass time to learn more about is like follow cybersecurity news. And there are a lot of programs, a lot of YouTube channels out there. I follow Simply Cyber's Threat Belief. It's a pretty high energy kind of, and then the post take on it. Lots of knowledge bombs being dropped over there. And gamify the network, the work. Have these little games between your team, like say, not just like CTF challenge or anything, right? It's just like who closes the ticket as fast as possible. No, not that. But like who can clear the cleanest ticket? Who can brief the client, well, something like that. And upskill yourself. Again, basic stuff, just videos, courses, certifications, whatever. Because that's why I did. So when I was in help desk, I just did all these certifications, all free by the way, and just posted on LinkedIn. The management noticed me, and I was like, they gave me promotion. That's how I got into the field, by the way. So don't just stay where you are at right now, wherever you are in terms of career. Just keep moving. Just be updating yourself. And step up. Whenever you get a new case, alert, issues, even new clients, always be the first to like step up. Because, so in my case, we had this new our first finance sector client come in. And so my manager was looking for the best people because it's a high intense environment. I was new to the team, and I was the first to step up, and I was like, dude, sign me up. I'm up for this. I mean, eventually we lost the client, by the way, because, how do I put this? We sucked at it. We sucked pretty hard. So the point is, it was a valuable lesson to me. Me personally, I learned a lot of stuff from a client, from starting point to losing. It was quite an experience for me to learn, and that's how I am here where I am. And finally, again, without mention of AI, there's nothing we can do about it. Will AI make things any better? The answer is no way. So scene noise in 2026 is going to be worse, way worse, because we're getting logs from all these different places. IoT logs, cloud streams, APIs, it's just too much now, and AI is not making anything better. And now the adversaries are using, the bad guys are now using adversarial AI to poison our baselines and even mimic our users. So if you are going into 2026 or even the next few years thinking that AI will make things better, no. You're just going to be deafened. Finally, so there is this, again, fear that AI, again, taking over our jobs, right? And especially with the SOC team, yes, it will take some of the jobs, but that's not how you look at the boat, though. the current entry level job is not tier 1 anymore, it's tier 1.5. It's tier 1 with advanced AI capabilities. So basically, you will be anyone who's trying to enter the field will be not be competing against AI, but you'll be competing against someone who can wield AI as a weapon. So that's how you should see the job market now. And there's also this fear of AI exhaustion. Now every tool has a shiny AI tool there, and your management will want you to push all the buttons as much as possible. But remember, so there's always, so 5 multiplied by 0 is always going to be 0. So you definitely need a human to take care of this, to see if the AI is hallucinating, or to make big decisions, final decisions, right? I always say this with my team, even with the new people that's coming into my team. Don't let an incident go to waste. You would have gone through, so I personally have gone through losing clients, losing people, getting scolded at, not knowing anything in board meetings, or just straight up verbal abuse. But I did not let that go to waste. I learned a lot of stuff from that experience, so that's what I say to everyone. I think that's all for me. I'm done with it. Any questions? Jack, let's go.
So from what I understand, like, everyone's quitting, everyone's, maybe getting fired doing stuff. I was wondering, like, to what degree does it take for a mistake to mean you lose your job? And like, if to what degree is like everyone quitting and everyone, losing their job in this area? Like, and but it also doesn't really align with like how many jobs in this area that are available and they're hiring.
Again, this is the I think of all the cybersecurity jobs out there, this is the job I see a lot out there, SOC analyst, than any other field, because again, you might not need much experience or technical knowledge to get into this, but that's what they. But once you get in, you see all of this high-level stuff, knowing the SIEM tool, SOAR tool, and then all these networking thing, and then they kind of go into this job, but then realize it's too hard, but then they quit. This kind of happens a lot. So always, again, I always say, foundations, lay your foundations well. Networking, always know networking. They always understand that we don't need networking because I'm not going to a networking kind of job, like network engineer or whatever, but cybersecurity, that's a pretty basic thing. But and again, just know basic cybersecurity terms after the networking stuff is done. And again, certifications, anything with that. I didn't pay anything to get into the job, by the way. All I did was free courses. And now with AI, you can just simulate your stuff, like what people do in everyday life. I think that should do.
So into the second part of my question, like, to what degree would it have to be for like a mistake to be, okay, cool, your career's over now?
Okay. So there was this. Okay, this is something that kind of talks about your management, not more than your. Because one of my teammate analysts, he made a mistake, and it was like my manager. It was a pretty big mistake. So he kind of contained a system during an incident, and we weren't supposed to do that. But it was again during a night shift time, so it was no one was there to call and everything. My manager took the decision not to throw him under the bus. He was trying to defend him in front of the client, saying that at the time, that is a valid action to do that, and he did what he did. So that if it were another company, if he did put him down the bus, he would have quit right away. And I have seen my friends quit because their management weren't that good. And every time you do an action, you need to get if you need to get a yes from a higher authority, and then even if you will make a mistake and you still get blamed, you have people quitting all the time. So
it's a lot of blame game.
It's a lot of a blame game. If your team is good enough to support you, whatever mistake you make, like I said, the containment of a system is not something an analyst is supposed to do. But again, at the time, he was the only analyst in the entire shift, no L2 or anyone. But I still agree. He took the decision to make that.
What would you have to do to get in big trouble with it? If you don't want me asking, sorry.
Okay, so in my case, okay, one of the stories that I said, you know how some of the one analyst was just blocking IPs left and right while the incident was going on. He didn't follow the playbook. That was not a good decision because a lot of computers were blocked, and there was a whole team that went down because of that. So again, it is, as an analyst, you're supposed to follow your runbook, playbook, and then always go with the flow. Is at the flow with the runbook. Not, you don't go by yourself. It's not a one-man show. The point of it here is to take care is, being a SOC analyst is not a one-man show. It's a team effort. You follow the rules, you follow your team, what they say, and you go with it. So
it sounds like you follow the book, you're more or less fine.
yes, you follow the book as much as possible. And also, another thing, if you drop something in AI, because I've seen someone do that too. They drop this everything, the whole scenario, including the IPs, IOCs, all of that stuff. You're done.
Yeah.
If someone finds it out, but if you do it like with no one knows, I mean, I've seen people do that, but yeah, you're basically done.
Yes.
One analyst did get fired because of this same scenario. Yeah, because someone ratted him out, but yeah.
So, but you enjoy it. You enjoy this career.
Oh yeah, it's quite hard to live here, but again, good foundation. It'll give you. Now I'm moving on to GRC is from my SOC, but I'm pretty confident now more than ever to move into the strategy position because I've been in the trenches now.
So do you think this is a good starting position? Sorry, I'm taking your question.
Is there anybody else? I have a question.
Oh yeah.
I worked in IT in the past. I had a similar kind of thing where, we pick up tickets and, we were a small team, so we share among each other and talk and so on. Something I found was, with commute time, with the amount of time, that we were actually working, full time, and then even, you go home and you sort of sit at night and think about a ticket that you had, that came in yesterday, you're like, shit, I don't know how to fix that. But with all that, and again, this was just IT, obviously, you're working in an actual SOC. How do you find time to then skill yourself up? If I say wanted to learn more networking or web backend, how do you find time to do that? Again, considering you have these commute times and things.
I think my answer was passion. I think I was working in help desk, IT support for like a while. I got to a point where every day, every call I picked was a real. It was a hell for me. It was to a point, and you kind of get that burnout, right? I think I've seen. So I didn't want to. Again, I could lose the job, by the way. So I had that motivation to push out of that place where I'm at and go into something meaningful, valuable. So you find time. Actually, I worked in night shifts and still found time to study, upskill myself. And when you follow like certain people in LinkedIn and they kind of motivate you to go forward, and LinkedIn is a pretty good place for you to like find that motivation to study, to upskill yourself. I had this I think when I started out there was Network Chuck, and he kind of did this networking challenge. You do the certificate in like 30 days, you kind of do it with me. When you find stuff like this, I'm not alone. I have people with me like online, so I kind of did that, and that kind of helped.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more quick one. So would you recommend this be a good entry into cybersecurity? It sounds like there's a lot of positions available necessarily, and like you said, you don't need too much to begin.
That's.
You agree?
That's it's a myth, but yeah, more people just get into this with. I've seen people get into this with no idea of cybersecurity. Like I got into this with Sec Plus and everything, just a sec plus though, but I've seen people getting know even like not basic networking stuff too, but they kind of struggle their way into learning. But yeah, it's possible to get into this. But I completely recommend getting into SOC analyst first before getting to anywhere in cybersecurity. You should learn all that stress handling and everything, because cybersecurity at the end of the day is just about saving people.